Hello everyone, so today I'm going to be ranking my bronzers, and I feel like these sort of videos are really popular right now, either ranking or like my favorites of this category. But with bronzers, I don't have so many that I feel like I need to do my favorites because I have 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7, 8 formulas. So I feel like I don't need to do like my favorites because it would probably be like 4 bronzers, 5 bronzers, and then the video would be over. So I thought I would do a ranking because I think that would be more fun. So if you're interested in this sort of video, just keep watching and also let me know what other categories you want me to do. I'm thinking about doing my favorite cream blushes and then my favorite powder blushes instead of a ranking because I have too many. Maybe like my favorite neutral palettes, ranking my highlighters, things like that. So let me know what sort of collection style videos you want me to do. But without further ado, let's just get on into the video. By the way, this is before my declutter, so some things in this video might get decluttered, but at the bottom, number 8 is the Oma Beauty Double Take Sculpt and Strobe Duo Stick. Now, I think I raved about this one when I first got it. It's a really nice formulation. It's more matte, and so it has a little bit of a dry down. It lasts really well and has a lot of pigmentation behind it, and I also really like and appreciate the shade range. But this color is just not it for me, which I know in like a ranking sense, I'm sure that makes some people mad because it's not ranking the formulas. I'm just ranking the formulas, the colors, just how I feel about it, point blank. This is how I would rank it. And this is just too deep for me. I will swatch it, and that's like literally just applying a little bit of it. And if you're not careful, that's what it will look like on the face. So I don't know, I just always am scared when I use this product. It's not super, I don't know, user friendly. It does blend out really easily, as you can tell right there, and like you can keep blending it, but like that little of product will go so long, and I feel like I have to take such a small amount to get my bronzer to look like this instead of just really pigmented, which is why I just don't love it. I wish there was a lighter shade. I know there is one, but it's super cool toned. But for me, this color, it just, I have to apply. I take it and I'll either apply it on my hand or I'll take my brush and I'll literally tap it once and it'll last for my entire face. And I just find it makes a little bit of a frustrating process because when I'm blending it out, it's just so pigmented, and it's also, it's not super warm, but it's just not my favorite color. So I think this formula is loved and for a reason, but personally, the color and the pigmentation just isn't my personal favorite because I'm not into a super bronzy look, and with this one, it's just too pigmented right out of the gate, and I don't want makeup to like be something that I have to work with. I just want it to work for me. Okay, and then my 7th place bronzer might be a little bit of a shock. It is one of my newest bronzers, and it's the Victoria Beckham Beauty Matte Bronzing Brick. I love the formula of this, but first of all, it's really expensive and I don't think it's worth the price. And I don't love the packaging. Mine, I think I watched Tara's video and hers was a little bit more faulty than mine. Mine obviously shuts, and since I've been using it, it's been easier to shut. At first, it was like really pushing it to stay closed, but it's just not my favorite packaging where it's like kind of hard to get open and closed. If you're not careful and you don't make sure it's really shut, it will open in my drawer or in my makeup palette. Luckily, like, as I've gotten to use it, it's been able to close more, but it's just, as I've been using it, it's nothing super special. Like, it's a good powder bronzer, and that's where it ends. Like, I don't think it does anything special for me, and the only reason I do really enjoy this is because this light shade works really well on top of cream bronzers to not add too much pigmentation, but still add a little bit of warmth to my face. But like, I don't think this is anything special. I mean, it blends out really easily and it's a good shade, but I don't know. For me, with some products, like especially powder cheek products, it's hard to be something that stands out to me because at the end of the day, it's just a brown powder. I will swatch both sides for you, but I think the colors are nice. The formula, like, I don't have anything bad to say about the formula, but also, do you see how light that color is? I do not regret like getting shade 1 because I think it's like my type of like just a light bronzer, but I don't think it's anything special. I might have to keep using it. I might declutter it, but if I keep using it, I'm sure I'll enjoy it. And like, it's not a bad bronzer. I don't hate using it. I don't have any complaints about it. It's just a powder. It's just a brown powder, you know? There's nothing else I can really say about it. And I just wish the packaging was better for such an expensive product. Like, I wish it was like a magnet, or they made this clasp just easier to use. And I don't know. I think it's okay. And on the lines of an okay luxury bronzer, on space number 6, I have the Hourglass Ambient Lighting Bronzer. I don't support this brand, but it is a bronzer that I own. I have the shade Nude Bronze Light. This is higher than the Victoria Beckham one because this one I really love in the wintertime to put on top of my creams. Now, I have had this one longer, so that could be why it is higher, but I don't know. It's like a similar color, but a little bit more cool tone. It is super sheer, but I find it makes it look really natural on the skin. It just kind of blends in. It has a little bit of a glow, not a super glowy, but it's not just a flat matte. And I like it because you can add it on top of a cream bronzer again without adding too much pigmentation or making you look too bronzed. So I don't know, I don't think it's worth the price, but since I have it, I will pull it out in the wintertime and I probably will keep enjoying it. If I had to declutter, I wouldn't be that, ow, oh, I just hurt my finger in the clasp. But if I had to declutter, I wouldn't be super upset about it because at the end of the day, I am a cream product person. But this is like one of the powder bronzers that I keep just to add on top of my creams. I forgot about one cream bronzer, so I'm adding that in now. So in space, actually number 6, I have the Tower 28 Bronze Enos. These are only so far down because to me, they're not an everyday bronzer. I have 3 shades. This one is Suncoast, Gold Coast, and West Coast. I haven't used Suncoast a ton. It's super light and I don't think it's a bronzer shade for me. Gold Coast is my favorite and it's actually quite good and I enjoy having it in my collection. I will swatch it right here. So you can see that it's like a lot more yellow toned and it has quite a glow to it. On the face though, it doesn't look super sparkly and shimmery like it does in the pan and swatched. And I really love the yellowness of it because it goes with my skin tone really well. I have like olive yellow undertones. And the only thing is this formula is a little bit stiffer compared to some of the other creams. I don't think it's a problem, but it's not like the creamiest bronzer to work with. And I don't think it's a everyday kind of color or shade for me. I'll swatch West Coast as well. I don't like West Coast as much because it is way more red. I want to pull it back out and use it for the summer because I think I will really like it for the summer. But like, it's just not, these aren't everyday bronzers for me. This is what I imagine the Melt Cream Blush Lights would look like if they were a bronzer, but just not everyday bronzers for me, but I still really enjoy them and I think they have a place in my collection. And they're really unique, I'll give them that, but they're not things that are like my holy grail status because again, I use them on occasion, not necessarily for every day. I think Gold Coast I could end up using more on an everyday basis because I like the color more, but it's not what I look for in my everyday bronzer. In the 5th spot is the Charlotte Tilbury Airbrush Bronzer. Now this is a fantastic matte bronzer. It's my favorite powder matte bronzer. It's just great. It's not too pigmented and it blends out really easily and it always looks airbrushed on the skin. I never get a line of differentiation on my skin, so I think it's a really great powder bronzer and I think people rave about it for a reason. It's only this low because I'm a cream product person, so this is my top 2 powder bronzers and this is my number 1 matte powder bronzer. So I really enjoy this one. I think the color works well for me. Sometimes on top of my creams, like in the winter, it can be a little bit much. It's right here. So as you can see, like I have the shade medium. I don't know if I said that, but it looks airbrushed on the skin and it always looks flawless. It's never looked bad on me. Sometimes it looks a bit too bronzy on me if I apply a lot of cream bronzer and then a lot of this, but it's really good. It'll last me forever and it's a staple. Like I've been pulling it out a lot more recently, usually to put on top of my powder or to put on top of my creams. I feel like I say that all the time in this video, but I do really like it and I think it's a great powder bronzer. You can tell that all of my powder bronzers are super sheer. I'm not building them up, but also that's kind of my type, is not a super pigmented bronzer. If you're new here, I don't like a super dark or intense bronzer color. As you can kind of tell, I like to look a lot more natural and like a natural bronze color, especially since I'm fair. I feel like dark bronzers kind of stand out on my skin too much and doesn't look very natural. Okay, in fourth place, these are like my top 4 bronzers. Like this was hard to organize, but in fourth place is the Makeup by Mario Soft Sculpt Shaping Stick. This would maybe be higher, but it is really new to me, so I don't want to rank it any higher. I've only used this like a handful of times, but I have been really enjoying it. It's right here. It's not as cool toned as I thought it was going to be in the promo like pictures and the online swatches, but it is really great. It's a little bit more warm toned. I'm wearing it today with some blush on top, and I used it in a video that is either up before this or will be up shortly after this, but it's just a really great bronzer formulation. It's more of a matte bronzer, so it sets down a little bit more and has more pigmentation behind it, so you really don't have to build it up. And it's just a really good standard cream bronzer. It replaced the Milk Makeup bronzer for me, and again, I really enjoy it, and I see it being a staple in my makeup routine. It is a little bit warm toned for my taste, but I don't know if you can tell, it has yellowness to it that I find it goes really well on my skin tone versus like a peachy cream bronzer, and I really like the color and just the formulation of this. I really have no complaints besides the fact that I wish that the online swatches were better, because this is not like a cool toned contour. It's definitely a warm toned bronzer, but overall, like, I've been loving this. No complaints from me. The only reason it's lower is just because all 4 of these top 4 bronzers are all very different and serve different purposes in my collection. So number 3 is the Patrick Ta Cream Contour and Powder Bronzer Duo. This cream is definitely more of a contour or like a neutral bronzer color on me. I will swatch it right here. You can tell, especially compared to the Makeup by Mario one, this one is a lot more cool toned. On my face, I don't find it's necessarily this cool toned. I think I can pull it off just as a bronzer and not just a contour, which I'm really happy about. When I'm looking at it in my swatches though, I'm like, does it actually work as a bronzer for me? But it actually does. It's meant to be a contour, but I don't know. It just ends up working. It's a very sheer formulation. It doesn't have much like white to it, so it's like a sheer formulation that on the skin looks very skin-like and natural and just kind of melts into the skin and looks, I don't know, very natural. It doesn't have, like the Makeup by Mario one is very pigmented and matte. This one is like a sheer, has a little bit more dew. It's not a dewy bronzer, but it doesn't completely set down to the level of the Makeup by Mario one. And I find it looks almost like a real shadow on your skin because you can see your skin through it. So instead of like just straight pigment, it's almost like your skin color mixes with this color, which I really like. And then the powder bronzer is super sheer, but again, I find it works perfectly with the I kind of swatch it right there. It's like a yellow toned bronzer. It's not super warm. It's more of a neutral bronzer, but works super well with the cream because it's not the exact same color. So they both serve a different purpose, and it's not so pigmented that when you layer these, it's the perfect amount of saturation on the skin. And it's just super handy to have both of these in one because I will usually use a cream and a powder. And I love this little duo. And then these last 2 products are 2020 favorites, so I'm sure these come in no surprise, but number 2 is the Kosas, what is the name of this? I always forget. I think it's the Sun Show Bronzer. This is the shade Light. This is absolutely amazing. It is super glowy in the pan and on the hand. It's right here. It's kind of hard to swatch because the shade is so light, but it has a lot of shimmer in it, but on the skin, it makes it look almost like a cream. It's a believable bronzer on me, this shade. It looks like I'm actually like sun-kissed on the forehead. I am wearing it on my forehead on top of the Makeup by Mario one, and I'm always impressed by this formulation and especially the color. The color Light works perfectly with my fair skin in the summer or the winter. And then my number 1 cream bronzer is obviously the Fenty Beauty cream bronzer. I've hit pan on this. You can see that huge dip going too. The color, the formulation, everything about this bronzer is great. I'm gonna swatch it over here so you can see it next to these other ones. So this is the Fenty one, and just reminding you, this is Patrick Ta. This is, wait, no, this is Makeup by Mario right here. This is Patrick Ta. It's kind of similar to the Makeup by Mario one, just a little bit less orange and more, I don't know, not very good with colors, but it's similar, but not the exact same. I think if you like Butter Biscuit from Fenty, you'll like Makeup by Mario Light, but this formula is more similar to the Patrick Ta, where it has that sheerness to it that I think looks natural on the skin because you can see your skin through it. It's not a block of bronzer. It is more sheer, so you might have to build it up more. I know not everyone loves this formula, but for me, this is my perfect everyday bronzer because it's never too much on my skin and it never looks makeup-y. So I love it so much, and that is all of my bronzers. So here's everything swatched. Everything looks so different when I actually swatch it, and my powders look super sheer, but I hope this was helpful in some way. Let me know what your favorite bronzer is, because I've been on such a bronzer kick lately that I honestly need to calm it down because I have everything I could need, but it's super exciting right now because brands are releasing bronzers and I'm just really interested in them. Glossier is releasing a bronzer. When this video goes up, it might already be out, but I am going to be reviewing that one and let you know how it stands in this lineup. But these are all of my cream and powder bronzers ranked. So I hope you guys enjoyed this video and it was helpful. Thanks for watching, and I'll see you in my next video. Bye.